Guilt. Guilt is a form of self-abasement. We punish ourselves by disrupting the vital life functions of the body, inviting illness and depression. American Indian women of certain tribes used to slash their legs to the bone to show grief when their mates were killed in battle. They made their situation worse, and the whole tribe was handicapped by trying to transport them. Punishing ourselves because we feel guilty about something is equally ridiculous, because we become morose and irritable and eventually incapacitated by the illness. If you've ever read the preceding chapters, you must understand that your actions are determined by a long series of causes and effects in your past, your character by inheritance, environment, and education. If this were not true, you'd be wearing a ring in your nose, as is customary in some other cultures. A child is born with inherited physical characteristics, but he's not born with inherited conscience, attitudes, morals. The conscience is governed by the strength of the desire to conform to group customs. A tribe in any other country refuses to recognize a young warrior's manhood until he has killed a member of a neighboring tribe. So the young man's conscience is not at ease until he has committed what we consider cold-blooded murder. If we had been born in his environment, we would feel proud and happy after our first killing. So guilt is a relative matter. How can you logically feel guilty about your cultural experiences have made you? If you feel guilt, the act you feel guilty about is now past experience. Feel sorry about what you have done, but not guilty, because like all other experiences, it caused a slight change in your total personality. You're not the same person you were 10 years ago. The minute you recognize a mistake and resolve not to repeat it, you have advanced your education and improved your character. Consider your mistake an experience that served to enhance your future behavior. Don't feel guilty about something you wouldn't repeat. If you feel regret, you have become a slightly better person as a result of your act. You are automatically forgiven because you are not the same person who committed it. Or merely a historical figure, Jesus Christ was obviously a very intelligent man. It is a matter of recorded history that he realized that his persecutors were products of their inheritance and experience. He prayed, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do." Most religions teach forgiveness, and if your God can forgive you, you should be able to follow his example and forgive yourself. If you have to hate the act that made you feel guilty and don't repeat it. A good rule of thumb is this: if you wouldn't do it again, you're forgiven. To burden yourself with guilt is to misuse your brain by punishing those billions of hardworking little cells that make up your body. You don't gain forgiveness by ruining the body entrusted to you. Many people harbor guilt because they can't face their true feelings of hatred or anger. A girl who was treated unfairly by her parents may have mixed feelings of love and hate toward them. Society tells her she shouldn't hate her parents, yet they have acted in such a way they don't deserve love. She buries her guilt in her subconscious, and it causes psychosomatic illness because it is not recognized and resolved. In severe cases, guilt must be resolved through hypnotherapy, but more often, introspection is sufficiently effective. If you have guilt feelings about your attitude towards someone, consider looking at things as they actually are rather than how you were taught they were supposed to be. Maybe your parent or some close friend deserves your dislike or distrust. Bring the hatred out in the open and admit it to yourself. Then hypnotize yourself and use the affirmation for anger. This will negate your anger, reduce your feelings of guilt, and make you a much healthier and happy person. Feelings of guilt are so painful to the conscious awareness it may be difficult to lure them out of your subconscious. But when buried there without the reasoning process of the conscious mind, they become exaggerated and intensified, and can be relieved only by suffering. since the subconscious controls the vital involuntary functions. It is an expert in handling the torture rack, meting punishment out of all proportion to the crime and often causing complete disability. Like a splinter, it continues hurting until removed. The most ludicrous form of guilt is the "if I hadn't done so and so, it wouldn't have happened" type of guilt, so characteristic of the emotionally naive. A woman and her husband get a late start for a dinner engagement because she spends extra time getting dressed. A drunk driver crosses a double line and hits their car head-on. She comes out of it with minor injuries, but her husband is killed. Her burden of guilt is heavy. If I hadn't been late getting dressed, it wouldn't have happened, she thinks. This is soap opera stuff. To feel guilty over some normal thing you have done preceding a tragedy is illogical and silly. By this type of reasoning, a man shouldn't leave his home to go to work because his wife might have an accident and be able to get to the phone and call a doctor. Then he would feel guilty because he wasn't there to help her. Harboring guilt serves no good purpose. It doesn't right wrongs, and it doesn't help anyone or anything. If you are using guilt as a form of self-punishment, you are breaking the laws of nature. Everyone makes mistakes, and you have a right to be wrong. But you don't have a right to punish a healthy body and make it sick, even if it does belong to you. Think how many crippled people would appreciate having a body like yours. To hate yourself is neurotic, to forgive yourself is divine. The following is an affirmation to abolish the feeling of guilt. Affirmation for feelings of guilt. Because I want to have a healthy mind and a healthy body, I hereby forgive myself for all things I have done in the past. I throw a heavy yoke off my shoulders as I forgive myself. I forgive myself and everyone else because I know we are all products of our inheritance and environment. I want the best for everyone as well as for myself. I am a loving person and I live a happy, contented life. I feel a great feeling of peace and tranquility and forgive myself and start with a clean slate. During the day, as I go about my daily routine, I feel wonderful, a wonderful new sense of freedom. Now and then, a little thrill runs up my spine, and I suddenly remember that I have good feelings towards myself and everyone else. I like myself, and people sense my self-respect and like me better for it. I radiate love, kindness, and forgiveness for everyone, and for myself also. I am a good, loving person, and I deserve happiness and respect. I forgive everyone, and I forgive myself because forgiveness is good and right. I feel a great sense of freedom as I forgive myself, and I am at peace with the world.